This is part two of the video on emotional intelligence. The first video, we went over in detail about the process of self-awareness because there's 5 different categories, I'm going to call it, that encompass the process of being emotionally intelligent. Some sources would give you 12, but I'm just going to go over 5 main ones that I found that were beneficial for me because I wanted to try to keep this thing really, really simple. I believe that if you're watching this video and if you've watched video 1, that you're going to get something out of it. It's going to make a powerful and tremendous difference in your life. So the first thing that we talked about in the first video was the part about us being self-aware, aware of who we are as people, aware of our likes, our dislikes, aware of where we are emotionally, because one of the main keys with emotional intelligence is the first key is, like I mentioned in the previous video, is self-aware. Are we aware of where we are emotionally when when an event comes and it manifests in our lives and we're triggered by it? And based upon us being triggered by it, what is our emotional response to that thing that triggered us? What is our emotional response to that person saying that thing? Because when people say things and things happen, many times those things aren't necessarily directed towards us. But the triggering is based upon something within us that still needs to be addressed. And I often say this doesn't mean that you're a bad person. This just means that there's a blind spot. There's a part within us that has to be addressed. That if you want to improve, if you want to grow, if you want to evolve, that there's a part of us that has to go to, if we're going to go to the next step, that has to improve. And so that self-awareness, what it does is it brings an enlightenment. It brings a magnification to that where we are emotionally. So that's the first key. And that was the first video that we discussed, and we discussed this topic. And if you go back, you'll see video 1 and it'll just explain all of that information in detail. So part of video 2 is that we're going to talk about self-regulation. And so why is it important to regulate, or why is self-regulation important? Because the first step we talked about was being aware. There was an awareness of where we were emotionally. Now that we're aware of where we are emotionally, the part of self-regulation comes in, because what it does is it teaches us how to manage, because when you regulate something, it's a portion of managing something, how you manage what you're aware of. And and it's important that we can manage what we're aware of. You know, a lot of the things that are going on in society right now, many people are very, very triggered by a lot of external things that are going on, which really don't have a lot to do with them. And part of it is because of the way that things are taught and how things are presented to us. You know, so it could be a political thing, it could be a religious thing, it could be a gender thing. It could be any number of things. People are triggered by a lot of different things. It could be a sports thing. It could be any number of things. And these triggers a lot of times are based upon, where have I invested my heart? Where have I given of myself? Or where is there a shortness within me that represents something that I need to kind of figure out and work on. You know, so this self-regulation represents that I can find ways of managing my emotion, that I don't have all of the highs and lows, that I'm not always up and down concerning everything that's going on around me, but that I'm coming from a place of being able to manage what I'm feeling. Because first of all, again, with the awareness, I can recognize what I feel. Then second, not only do I recognize what I feel, but I'm able to manage it. One of the things that I suggest to people as they go through their healing journey is that you want to start going to the gym. There's many ways that you can manage your emotions, but one of the ways that I found, and it's kind of something that came upon me, or something that was revealed to me by happenstance. I was reading something and it was something that jumped off the page. And it's basically because, you know, there's certain endorphins that are released from our minds when we take the time to physically move our body. And it doesn't always have to be exercise. Like I do something called Qigong. That's the movements that I do in Qigong. The movements that I do in Qigong is still a part of moving your body, because the endorphins are released based upon the movements of our body. So if someone is doing yoga, or someone is doing these different things, it's still a process of moving and pushing your body beyond those limits. And you're going to want those endorphins released in your mind, because you're going to want to be in a balanced state throughout your journey. You're not going to want all of the ups and downs. You're depressed one day, you're hurt one day, you're sad one day, you're grieving, you're crying, you're angry, all of these, because you're going to go, when you're in grief, you're going to go through a myriad of many different emotions. This is just a natural part of the process, because there's a loss. Whenever there's a loss of something that you have esteemed as something of extreme value, you're going to feel that loss. You're going to feel that. That's going to be painful to you. And so part of the process with the awareness is Not saying that it's not important. Not saying, oh, it doesn't matter. I don't care. That stuff is that's dismissive. Just because we come from a dismissive way concerning things that have happened, it does not mean that it's not an important issue. It just means that I'm not in a place where I want to address it. And I'm talking about myself because I was a person that many times I would say, oh, I don't care. It don't matter. Screw them, so on and so forth. But that wasn't really true because I'm a person that I love other people. So it does matter. It was important. And so part of the awareness is not no longer making excuses and making an exemption for myself to say that something didn't matter, which actually does matter. It does matter. So second part is self-regulation. How can I regulate myself? Part of what I taught when I to the group when I was sharing this information yesterday is I taught a technique called box breathing. Another way to regulate your emotions is that when a negative situation pops up where maybe someone is disrespecting you and you feel that heat growing up in the back of your head and you're feeling angry and you're feeling like, cussing this person out or whatever else that you feel like doing in that moment, my suggestion to you is monitor how you're breathing. Because when we're in these states where we're, angry, we're upset, we're pissed, our breathing rate, our heart rate is higher, our adrenaline is slowing, where we are emotionally, our heart rate is quicker and shorter. Our breathing is shorter. So the thing that I would suggest is, slow down your breathing. And one of the keys that I suggested or a technique that I suggested to individuals is box breathing. Box breathing is very easy. It's very easy to understand and to learn. And basically, one of the first keys with any breathing or breath work is understanding the correct way to breathe. And one of the correct ways to breathe is when I tell people about breathing, when you inhale, when you bring that oxygen into your nose, you want to make sure that your abdomen, your stomach, your solar plexus is expanding out. Because part of correct breathing is when you inhale oxygen through your nose, your stomach should be expanding out. And this is regardless of if you have a six pack or not. And when you exhale, your abdomen should be deflating. It should be getting flatter. That's part of one of the first steps. So my way I teach it is you want to do 3 really, really deep breaths and start calming down your breathing, 3 really, really deep breaths all the way in through your nose, all the way out through your nose. There's some that say breathe out through your mouth. I find that it's better for me in through the nose and out through the nose. Then once I'm done that, then going into the box breathing, all you're doing is you're doing a 4 count of inhaling for 4 count, and you're doing the 4 count in your mind. And as you're doing the 4 count, you're basically you see yourself in your imagination drawing a square box with 4 perfectly even sides. So as you inhale, you're seeing yourself draw that line, that vertical line up. Once you get to that top line and you're done your 4 breaths in, then what you're going to do is you're going to hold it for 4 seconds across the top of that box. Then you're going to exhale for 4 seconds, 4 to 6 seconds. I like to do 4 to 6, 6 to 8, because I find that it's easier to slow down my breathing by based upon the amount of time that I breathe in. So in other words, if I breathe in for 6 seconds, I want to breathe out for 8 to 10 or 12 because I want to make sure that I'm slowing down my breathing. So when you're exhaling with that other vertical line down, then you're going to hold your breath again on the bottom line for another 4 seconds. And then you just start the whole cycle over again. And you do it from 7 to 10 times. If you do that practice, you will be training yourself how to regulate what you are, where you are, and how to regulate your emotions so that when things pop up that tick you off, you won't be a person that's in the mall cussing and acting crazy and people are filming you and they're putting you up online and all. A lot of that stuff is happening because people, maybe they caught them at a difficult time of their life, and maybe they're just so stressed out, and maybe they haven't taken the time to really actually analyze the whole situation, and they're just, chaotic. And so I'm trying to be kind because I don't know these people that are online that you see and they give them names, but I'm not giving anybody a name because I'm not going to disrespect people, because I was taught, and this is something that my dad taught me, and this is a sidebar, is that, when you can, in order to actually inflict any kind of real affliction or hurt or harm on people, you got to demoralize them. And how people demoralize other people is through names. They call them names. That's why I don't accept the names that people call, whether it's savage, whether it's the N-word, whether it's this, whether it's that. When you demoralize people and you take the humanity part off of them, then it's going to be easy. My dad would talk about that all the time because my dad was a very, very wise man. He was a student. And he would talk about that. And whenever our people can demoralize you verbally, they stop calling you by your name and assessing you as being another human being. It's easy for them to destroy you in any capacity because they don't look at you as human. They only maybe look at you as a quarter or a third of a human being. So back to my point, self-regulation. That's just how you regulate your emotions. You're going to want to do that 7 to 10 times. You want to build that practice up so that when these things happen, you're in a place where you can get through. I'm going to go over a couple points real quick. And I think this stuff is going to make a tremendous difference for you. And I thank you everybody for watching. Appreciate everybody that's going to like and going to subscribe and that's going to share. Number one is that if we don't regulate our own emotions, then we will be manipulated by other people and the things that they're doing and they're saying. That's one of the first keys that I want to point out to you. If we don't take the time to regulate our own emotions, we will be a victim of other people's whims, their ways, and their things because we are going to be triggered by everything that everybody else does. For me, that's totally and completely unacceptable. I have no desire to be, controlled by another human being. I don't care who it is. This is my life to live, and I'm going to live it to the fullness of my ability based upon not giving two nickels about what another person thinks. I'm going to allow the things that take place to be lessons to be learned, to grow and to evolve from, not to stay there, not to hold grudges. All that stuff is petty and small because either we're going to move on or we're not. That's where it has to be. And point number two, the events that take place are going to be truly hurtful when you realize the things that people are doing and the intention behind why they're doing what they're doing. Because some people that you meet, they will be malevolent. They will be the type of individuals that they're going to do things intentionally to try to harm you and to hurt you and to destroy you. But the thing that I would suggest to you is that you got to keep moving. You got to stay focused on your objective. Don't allow all the other things that are going on around you to distract you from what you need to do because you're here for a specific purpose. And if individuals are trying to block you or things are coming up to try to distract you, those things are coming because there's an energy that does not want you to fulfill the reason for your existence. And I think that energy is a lie. I believe that you have the capabilities and the power and the ability to do the thing that needs to be done because it's part of your calling. It's part of why you were placed here. You're here for more than the reason than for the reason of your mom and dad or your having some magical night and the stars were aligned and there was bada bing bada bang and pow poo pow bang bang whatever and then boom you appeared. No, you're here for a specific reason. My desire for you is that you fulfill that reason. I talked about this already. If you're in a place where you're regulated, you won't have all the highs and lows. You won't have all the highs and lows. You're going to be on more of a neutral place. You're going to be more on a balanced, neutral place. That is absolutely critical because if you are in a relationship and you're a person that you're excited one day, you're depressed one day, every event that takes place affects you emotionally, then you're going to make being in a relationship a very unsafe place for the person that you're in a relationship with because they're never going to know emotionally where you are. Because you could be happy 1 second and then the next second you're pissed. And when a person is not emotionally intelligent, that is not a safe space to invest your heart because they're unstable in all of their ways. There is no balance. There is no neutral environment or neutral energy that's being displayed. And part of all of this is that, this emotional intelligence and this regulating of ourselves, which would be the second part that I'm talking about as far as self-regulation, is finding ways to motivate yourself. And that's why I gave y'all two techniques in this video that you can start implementing, which is going to allow you to start because if you've come through a traumatic relationship or a traumatic experience, it has damaged your nervous system. So part of you getting back to a healthier nervous system is going to be through your breathing techniques. I do also Qigong, through your meditations, all these different practices and things, your prayers. Those things are going to help you get back to a more of a balanced state as far as the way that you handle things that take place within your life. This is Arnold Alston. Like I always say, I believe in you. Like the page, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. I appreciate every single one of you. But like I always say, I believe in you, but you got to believe in yourself. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. This is Arnold Alston, Coach AJ. Thank you. Talk to you soon.